Hi there, church family. Wayne Headland here. I just want to bring you a word of encouragement. Just start with a story. So when I was a kid, for a short time, I had a foster brother. My parents brought home this teenager. I was a grade schooler, and this teenager came and lived with us for just a couple of months. But I thought it was kind of cool. I was sharing, my bedroom in the basement where we lived there in Carson City, Nevada, and I was sharing my bedroom with this teenager. So one night I went to bed, and of course he wasn't there. He didn't go to bed when I did. But one night I went to bed, and I noticed, so our beds were right next to each other with a side table in between the two beds. And as I was getting ready to go to bed and turn the light out, I noticed next to his bed, he had a bowl filled with Hubba Bubba bubble gum. You know, the big, thick, big blocks of bubble gum, and there was like 15 or 20 of them just sitting there in a bowl. And I'm like, 8 years old, I couldn't resist, So I went and grabbed, I think I grabbed 2 or 3, I don't remember, but at least 2, and shoved them in my mouth and laid down to chew my bubble gum there. What I didn't realize was, evidently as a kid, I was exhausted, and I fell asleep with the bubble gum in my mouth. So I have a very vivid memory later on in that evening. So I must have woken up before my foster brother came home. But a little bit later that evening, I woke up and realized something was sticking to my face. And so I turned the light on, and there's gum on my face. And then there's gum in my pajamas. And then there's gum in the sheets. It had gotten out of my mouth, and I had rolled over and done all kinds of things. There was gum everywhere. It was on my flannel pajamas. It was on the sheets. It was on my blanket. It was on my pillow. And I remember frantically trying to pick it away because I'm like, I am so in trouble. I wasn't worrying about my foster brother. I was worrying about my mom, when she finds out I've ruined all of these different items. And I just remember sitting there for, it felt like hours, trying to pick the bubble gum out of all of those, sheets and blankets and pillows, and it didn't work. I couldn't get it out. A funny story, but it reminds me of this scripture in Hebrews. And I'm going to read to you out of Hebrews chapter 12, very familiar passage for some of you. I'm going to read it to you. It's 12 verses 1 through 3. This is what it says. Therefore, since we are surrounded by such a great cloud of witnesses, let us throw off everything that hinders and the sin that so easily entangles, and let us run with perseverance the race marked out for us. Let us fix our eyes on Jesus, the author and perfecter of our faith, who, for the joy set before him, endured the cross, scorning its shame, and sat down at the right hand of the throne of God. Consider him who endured such opposition from sinful men, so that you will not grow weary and lose heart. Wonderful passage. And I just want to remind you of a couple of things as we think about this scripture. First of all, it says, let's run with perseverance the race marked out for us. So this scripture is reminding us that there is a race. Not only do we have a race that we're all in, but it's already marked out. Each and every one of us. If you're watching this video today, God has marked out a path for you. He has a plan. He has a purpose. He has an intent for your life to matter and make a difference in the people around you. There is a reason you exist, and it's more than just walking through life and surviving. It is thriving in life and making a difference for his name's sake, glorifying him and loving the people that he has placed in your path. You have a race that has been marked out for you. And of course, it's talking about, and I mentioned my story about the bubble gum, because the fact is, In this day and age, there are so many things that can hinder us from being able to run that race with victory and with confidence. There's distractions. There's our financial situation. There's relational issues. There's, sin that it entangles us like the bubble gum entangled me in my bed. And there's all kinds of things. And if we're not careful, we can let those things become the focus of our life. Just like as a little boy, as I was sitting there trying to pick away and trying to get rid of the gum and try to take it out of my clothes, which was impossible to do. We had to they were ruined. But, I spent all my time that evening, that night, trying to fix, trying to unentangle, trying to take care of the things that were hindering me. And the fact of the matter is it was about my focus more than it was anything else. If I would have been able to resign myself that, this is messed up, and be able to focus on something different, I wouldn't have wasted my time and energy trying to fix it. Nothing could have fixed the bubble gum in my pajamas. And in the same way, there are so many things in life that we can't fix. There's sin in our life. There's struggles that we're having. And the fact is we need to take our focus many times off of our circumstances, off of the world around us, off of the things that are distracting us and causing us to worry and live in anxiety or perhaps even fear. Instead, this scripture says, what? Fix your eyes on Jesus. Let us fix our eyes on Jesus. Why? Well, it says he's the author and perfecter of our faith, but then it goes on to talk about Jesus's life in brief, who for the joy set before him endured the cross, scorning its shame, and sat down at the right hand of the throne of God. The fact of the matter is, with Jesus the focus, we can face anything. If Jesus is our focus in life, any of the distractions, if we can take our mind and our hearts and our eyes off of all these distractions and focus on Christ and focus on who he is and who he's made us to be, focus on the fact that we are living for eternity now. We're not living for today. We're not living for this moment. We're living for Jesus Christ. When we remember all that Jesus has gone through, and remember that before we were even born, Jesus already paid a price for us. And it was a major, big price that he paid. And yet he willingly went to the cross so that we can be in relationship with him, have forgiveness with him, and live a life of victory. So today, as you watch this video, I just want to encourage you, if there is anything that's distracting you, whether it's a sin that you're struggling with in your own life, or whether it's some other thing that's hindering you, let's get our eyes off of the bubble gum in our bed and focus on Jesus. And let these worldly things really dim in comparison to Christ and the purpose, the calling, the race that he has marked out for us. I believe that if we do that, we can live in victory. Not that we'll do things perfect, but we'll be able to live and walk in victory, and we will be able to make a difference for his name's sake wherever we are, whatever we're doing, whether it's at work or at home or in the grocery store, at the gas station, wherever it is. All right, so let's take that as a challenge today. Fix your eyes on Jesus. Take our eyes off of these worldly things. I hope you found this video encouraging, and I hope you're blessed today. Thanks so much for watching.